Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Giant's Healthy Innovators TV. My name is Barry Shrier and I'm your host. I'm the founder of Giant Health. So we invite all of our visitors to come to the website, www.giant.health. We are an international community of nearly 300,000 people now. Giant is a community that serves everybody whose business is healthcare, technology, and innovation. As a reminder to all of our listeners, not only in the UK, but around the world, we have the Giant Health event coming up. That's the 6th and 7th of December in London. And there's going to be an extremely interesting product demonstration and healthcare technology innovation service pavilion there, sponsored by Vodafone and sponsored by Orbis. So we're very excited to hear more about that today from two of the leaders from Orbis. We have Chris and Warren. So I'll introduce them in a minute. But as a reminder, if you're watching this video on YouTube, we invite you to like and to subscribe. That'll help us to help you. We love to bring you some of the leading innovators from around the world. Our vision is to improve the health and the well-being of people around the world by accelerating and facilitating the adoption of new technology to enable healthcare workers to deliver better health outcomes at lower cost. So Orbis, our sponsor, is an important part of this ecosystem, and we're very proud to be sharing their innovations and their success with you today. So Chris and Warren, hello, nice to see you guys.
Hello. Barry, good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. So we'll start with you, please, Chris, if you don't mind, just a brief introduction to yourself so our listeners can hear a little bit about you and your career journey.
Yes, thanks, Barry. So my name's Chris Chambers. I've been working in the lone worker industry now for about 15 years, primarily in a business development role. So it's kind of my job to go out and understand what customers' requirements are when it comes to lone worker, and discuss with them what products are available.
Excellent. Good stuff. Looking forward to hearing a lot more about what you guys are doing in this conversation. And Warren, so glad you could join us. Thank you very much. If you could just introduce yourself briefly. And our listeners love the personal journey, so we'd love to also hear a little bit about your career today.
Yeah, Warren, Warren Ottaway. I'm the business development manager for Orbis for the southern half of the UK. So Chris looks after all the customers in the north and I look after everything in the south. I've been in the loan work industry for about 14 years, and the last 3 years of that have been with Orbis.
Nice. Excellent. Well, really glad to have you guys here, obviously, and thank you so much. So to begin with, we'd love to hear just a little bit about Orbis, if that's okay. So Chris, if you could start. So who are Orbis? What do you guys do? Where did you come from?
So Orbis specialise in people protection and lone worker safety, and we've been doing that now for just over 20 years.
Wow.
So at the heart of that is our own alarm receiving centre. And then we've got a range of different technologies which come in the form of apps on smartphones or physical devices.
Okay.
That we can put in the hands of people who either work in vulnerable situations, they work on their own, or somebody who doesn't work in close proximity to somebody else. And if their personal safety is at risk, through our technologies, they can raise a silent alarm, which goes directly through to our fully trained operators at the alarm receiving centre. We can monitor the audio silently and discreetly, and then we can respond in the appropriate way depending on what we can hear on the audio.
Excellent. Oh, thank you. That's really helpful introductory description. Thank you. A lot of our listeners obviously work in healthcare, both here in the UK and around the world. A lot of our listeners are healthcare practitioners, but a lot of them are also leaders of organizations, community care, GP, hospital, and so forth. Maybe they're not necessarily familiar with the phrase lone worker. Warren, what's a lone worker? Surely nobody's alone. We all work in organizations. We all are, doing things with other people. What does this mean?
A lone worker is really someone that works without direct supervision. So
Okay.
It could be, someone, say in a healthcare setting, it could be a nurse that's going out in the community to dress someone's wounds in their homes. It could be a midwife. It could be someone like you or me that's working from home, and we're on our own. So there's a whole range of different sort of risk profiles, from the very high risk to the very low risk. But it's basically anyone that's not working without direct supervision.
Yes. Oh, okay. No, that's a helpful addition. Thank you. Good to know about this situation because you don't necessarily think about it, do you? I mean, people don't tell me I'm a lone worker, but in fact, in many, many circumstances, they are, aren't they?
Absolutely, yeah,
They
yeah.
are, and travelling comes down to a lot as well, Barry. If people are travelling from office to
Yes.
office or appointment to appointment in their own vehicle,
Yes.
then technology is available to be able to
Yes.
help kind of protect your
Mm.
welfare in those scenarios.
Yeah, no, Chris, that's a good point. So let's hear a little bit more about this because I'm intrigued about this. I mean, if one is in trouble, why doesn't one just call 999? So what are the benefits of a lone worker device compared to the 999 call? Chris?
That's a great question, Barry, and it's one we get asked quite a lot.
Oh,
And there are several benefits to using an accredited lone worker system.
right.
And one of the main points when it comes to accredited lone worker systems is being able to contact the emergency services on a higher priority line than if you or I was to call 999.
Oh, okay.
So Orbis have got a BS 8484 accreditation, which
Right.
gives us direct access to every single police control room in England and in Wales. So if we need to call the emergency services, the lone worker systems that we provide to our end users send us GPS information so we know where they are. And in turn, we know which police control room to contact to get the highest priority response.
Yeah. So in fact, it's a lot more than just the 999 call, isn't it?
Yeah, can,
I mean,
can I just add? Can I just add a little bit to that as well?
yeah, of course.
I think if you're in trouble and let's just say someone's threatening you verbally or physically, if you get your phone out and dial 999, you're going to have a conversation with a 999 controller, and they're going to ask you loads of questions about who you are, where you are, what the problem is, and if someone's threatening you, you can't really do that.
That's a
So
really good point. That would
most
escalate
people,
things, wouldn't it?
yeah, most people that dial 999 do so after the event. So once you've had your altercation and maybe you've got a split lip or something where someone's hit you and you're sitting in your car and the doors are locked and then you dial 999, and then one of the questions the police will ask you is are you now in a safe place? And it's like, well, yes, I'm in the car, the doors are locked and he's run away, and then you won't get a priority response because you're no longer under threat.
Wow.
Whereas our service, you press a button and the person that's threatening you doesn't even know you pressed it.
That's
And
interesting.
then the service clicks into place, and the police will be on their way whilst the incident is going on. So it's actually a lot
Yeah.
quicker.
So that's helpful, Warren. That's important. What are some of the other key features, Warren, of the what do you call it, the service?
Yeah, I mean the service, as Chris said, the main thing is that because we manage all our own alarms,
Yeah.
we and when we have these URNs with every police control room, we can guarantee a police response. We can also get paramedics, we can get fire brigades. So if you've crashed your car into a tree and you're hanging upside down by your seatbelts, we can get you the paramedics, we can get you the fire brigade, whatever help you need, 24
Yes.
hours a day, 365 days a year.
Yes.
And our service can be used in work and out of work. So it's that's mainly what we do. I mean, each device and app and video has different features.
Sure.
But essentially, what we do is get you help when you need it
Yes. Yeah.
in the fastest possible way.
Superb. How does the location element of that work, Chris?
Yes, so in different ways. So the devices, the technology, are configured to be able to send GPS locations back to us at different intervals.
Okay.
Also, when an alarm's raised as well. But then we do have other features on the devices, which are generally called an Amber Alert feature. So that's more to help you kind of plan a particular task. So if you're a midwife doing a community visit, you can leave a voice recorded message prior to entering into that situation.
Okay.
That planning can also have a welfare timer assigned to it as well. So if you kind of check in before going into your appointment and you fail to check out, that also is a fail-safe because our alarm receiving centre get a notification that you've failed to check out.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
safe and well.
That's nice. There's a lot to this, isn't there? This isn't just a little red button that you click when you fall down, is it? So that's very, very interesting. Warren, are there like organizational issues? Like if I run an organization and I have all these health workers out there, how do I know the system is working? What do you guys offer to the organization itself, not only to the actual lone worker?
Yeah, I mean, we have an online portal, and our online portal enables customers to run reports and to look at usage and non-usage. So if you've got a big organization with lots of different teams, each team manager could have a login to our portal so they can just see their team. They can't see anybody else in the organization.
Okay.
And the advantage of that is if one of their team leaves and hands their notice in, and they've recruited a new person to start, they can take the device or the app or the phone from one person and give it to another one and update all the details in real time.
Oh, wow.
So on the day the new person starts, they can just literally go into the portal, change the device name, add a few other bits and pieces in, press save, and then it's then registered to the new person.
Yes.
But they can also run reports on usage, on non-usage. They can look at the locations of where their staff are at any time, because it puts like a dot on a map, on a Google map, every 15 minutes. They can listen to the audio of any alarms that have come in. So let's just say you've got a real life alarm. One of your team has been attacked. It could be a parking warden or something, or it could be someone in a car park at an NHS hospital that's running the car park has been in an altercation with someone, and they've pressed their button. We've got the police. The police have arrived, sorted the problem out. The second thing we'll do is we can phone the first escalation contact, which could be their manager, and let them know that there's been an altercation and their employee's been carted off to A&E. Because they've got a split lip or been hurt in some way. That manager can then run a report on that incident. They can look at the GPS coordinates on a Google map of exactly where they were when it happened. They can look at a satellite image and they can print all those things off. They can then listen to the audio that we've recorded of the member of the public threatening them, what they were saying, and how that member of staff was dealing with that. Were they trying to extricate themselves from the incident, or were they fronting up to them and sort of giving as good as they got? But they can listen to that. So when they're writing a report on that incident, they've got everything they need at their fingertips to better write an accurate report within minutes of it happening.
Wow, this is excellent. And it's so much more, isn't it, than just having a phone, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, obviously, lone workers don't want to use their personal phone in these circumstances, do they? And you don't want to have one phone, a company phone that you hand around to all of your staff. So this is infinitely better and more sophisticated and capable. No, brilliant. This is so interesting. What are examples in healthcare? Like, who are you guys serving? What are examples of customers? I don't mean, name names, but what are types of healthcare organizations that you guys work with, and what are the benefits or the requirements of these healthcare customers?
So we work with a range of different customers, both in the public and private sector. But the NHS trusts we work with, I think, as Warren mentioned earlier, different roles would require a potential different solution. So you might have somebody such as a community midwife or community nurse. They might require something small, discreet, that's not getting in the way while they're treating patients.
Sure.
But then you may have somebody who works as a security person in a hospital, and a body-worn video camera is going to be the right solution for that individual. So our approach at Orbis is really to understand the end user's risk profiles. So what are their risks? Do they work from height? Are they public facing? Are they working with people with mental health issues? And we use all this information to work with the organisation as more of a consultant and take them through the journey of the different products and scenario-based settings to be able to give advice and guidance on what we see as being the most appropriate product for them.
Yeah, excellent. So Warren, you're responsible for the south of England, is that right? Are you working with any hospitals or healthcare groups, for example, in London?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we've got quite a few NHS trusts that we currently work with. In London, I've got people like Chelsea and Westminster NHS Trust. But one very interesting one that I've worked with recently, who actually came through Vodafone, was NHS Wales.
Oh.
Now, NHS Wales, sort of during the COVID pandemic, if you like, were looking to transport COVID tests throughout Wales from hospital to hospital, transport blood and organs and sort of transplant organs from one hospital to another throughout Wales.
Okay.
And they were looking at ways that the staff that were doing that could be looked after. Obviously, it's quite challenging in Wales because you're going up and down mountains, you're in valleys, and there's bad mobile signal areas and various other things.
Sure.
And they came on board as a customer, and as part of their testing process, they took one of our devices and they literally walked to the top of Snowdon. And they were doing tests all the way up there in valleys and up the hills, and they did a test right the way at the top of Snowdon, and they took some photographs, and it worked very, very well, obviously. And they came on board as a customer, and that was obviously through Vodafone. So yeah, it worked really, really well.
Excellent. Oh, no, that's extremely interesting. And again, I'm fascinated because you don't think about these issues, do you? Will this work, if I'm away from the center of a big city or a big town and things like that? And yet that's as important as all the other elements of the service, isn't it? So, no, that's fascinating. What are examples? Let's start with you, Chris, but also Warren, if you could add to this. What are challenges that your clients have? Like, what are examples of, it sounds like a gorgeous service. Everyone should use it. It works beautifully, and the features and benefits are vast. But what are examples of challenges? And then how do you overcome those challenges? So I'd love to hear more about that.
So the biggest challenge that we seem to face when dealing with both existing customers and new customers is getting end user engagement in using their devices or apps on a regular basis.
Okay.
A lot of that comes down to kind of education. So a properly managed implementation. So it comes back to the risk profiling. So it's getting the right device to meet the right needs of the end user, providing relevant training both to the end user on the device, not only on the features and what the devices or apps do, but on the why and how what are the benefits of using the system. Fully account managed. So we're not always not the type of organization to just sell a product off the shelf and leave a customer to kind of manage it themselves. So we'll help and guide the customer through arranging training for the managers, escalation contacts, people who are running the reports. So every key stakeholder, as well as the guys out in the field who need to use the end system. So that's the biggest challenge I seem to find is end user engagement.
And Warren, for example, are people concerned about data or privacy, or there's this national organization spying on me all day long? Are there issues there? Does that have a concern, and what do you guys do about that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously data protection is always a huge concern for not just individuals, but for companies and organisations and NHS trusts. They're going to be sharing employee data with another company. They need to make sure it's secure. And Orbis, we meet all the data protection regulations. We're accredited to ISO 27001.
Nice.
We have Cyber Essentials Plus certification. So we manage the data in the correct way. Which is really, really important to mention because it is a huge concern. We don't need a huge amount of data from a customer, but we do need people's names and we need their telephone numbers. And without that data, we can't run the service. So we're not asking for your inside leg measurement and how many digits are in your PIN code for your bank card or anything like that. But it is still data, and we have to manage it in the correct way. So that's always a concern, and you also get some end users that have this concern about being tracked. You mentioned the word GPS, and they're like, and it's not so much now, but 10-15 years ago when Chris and I first started in the industry, you mentioned the word GPS to an employee, and they think, oh, you're tracking me, and you know where I am at every single minute of every day, and it's not about that, and it's about getting across to those employees, and this is about your personal safety. It's not about tracking you. It's not about your employer knowing where you are every minute. It's about making sure that if you're in trouble, we can get you the best help possible. Nice. And if the users can buy into it, like Chris sort of said, if they buy into it and they understand that, then generally they'll want to use it, and you'll start off with usage being very good and high, and then it's about running those regular reports and making sure that if someone tails off a little bit and the usage drops, that's picked up by management within the organisation, and it could just be a question of retraining them, or it could be a question of finding out why they stopped using it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. No, that's helpful. It's comforting, obviously, because there are an awful lot of concerns, aren't there, about data and things like that, even though we all give unlimited personal data to Google and Facebook and Twitter all day long. Slightly ironic. Who are your competition? I mean, you guys, I haven't heard about this service before, and it's fascinating. And I'm keen to hear about, are there other businesses out there? So that's one question. But more important, in fact, love to also hear about how you guys are collaborating with Vodafone. So yeah, to begin with, Chris, do you guys have competitors out there, or is this quite a unique service?
We do have competitors out there, Barry, absolutely. But I think Orbis are slightly different, and we do have our unique selling points as an organisation.
Yeah.
Our partnership with Vodafone is also kind of centred around that as well. So it all comes back to what the customer's needs are, really. We're very service centred. So although we are kind of a tech company, it's more of the service that we're delivering to understand the needs of the end customer.
Yes.
And it's a fully managed service as well. So it's that building relationships up with relevant people with who we work with, to have that trust between both organisations and provide them with the kind of service that they need in line with the accreditations that we hold as well.
Yeah.
So we work very closely with Vodafone. Vodafone obviously live in a world of technology themselves.
Yeah.
So to be able to use Orbis to provide a personal safety system to their customers is a great help.
Excellent. Yeah, no, brilliant. Warren, anything you'd like to add in terms of how do you guys collaborate with Vodafone? How does that partnership work?
Yeah, I mean, to start with about the competition, I mean, every business in the UK always has competition. But I think the most important thing is that Orbis do things slightly differently. We spend a lot of time and a lot of energy looking after our customers. And if you've experienced a service from one of our competitors, and you come across to Orbis, most customers then recognise the service and the level of service they get from us is far superior than anybody else. Now, we've all got the same sort of gadgets, we've all got the same control rooms, they do the same sort of things, but it's how you look after those customers. And that's one of the reasons why Orbis seem to keep their customers for a very, very long time. I'm not saying no one ever leaves us, because they do. There are a few, but not many. Most customers renew with us year after year after year. And they do that because we look after them well. And as far as sort of, Vodafone, we've been a partner now of Vodafone for coming up for 20 years.
Wow.
So we're a long-standing partner of Vodafone, and we've done some really big projects with Vodafone. Got some small customers and some big customers. Excuse me, there's a helicopter flying by outside. We've got some big customers and some small customers through Vodafone, but we've been working with them now for 20 years, and we've got a very strong relationship with Vodafone.
Excellent. Oh, fabulous. And will you guys be displaying technology at the giant event in the Vodafone Connected Health Pavilion, or will it just be conversations? Do you have things to show, or not necessarily this year?
We do, Barry, yes. So Warren and I will both be there, suited and booted, with kit bags of our technologies. So it's quite a common part of any process that we go through is to provide demonstrations and trials of our solutions. So we'll have the kit there on the day, so people can touch, feel, press buttons, and experience how the system works.
Excellent.
So yeah, we'll be there with all the bells and whistles.
Oh, perfect. And what's your website address so people can find out more about you and learn more? And obviously, we will be encouraging everyone to come see you at the Giant Health event this year. So, Warren, what's your website address? It's
www.orbisprotect.com. And orbisprotect.com. And if you search for lone worker, there's different drop-down tabs, but look for lone worker and you'll find it on there.
Yep. Oh, superb. Hey, well, look we don't have too much time left. I wish we could continue this conversation for another hour, because this is so interesting and such an important service within healthcare. Let's just summarize, if you don't mind. Chris, do you have any particular message to people working in healthcare regarding what you guys are offering, and an invitation to come meet you at the Vodafone Connected Village?
Yeah, I'd welcome anybody working anybody who's going to be visiting the stand who's got an interest in the welfare of their staff to come and have a chat with myself and Warren. We can talk about not only the systems that we've got there and we're showcasing, but we can also talk about other projects that we've worked on, which are similar to what people at the show are looking for.
Excellent.
Anybody wants to look at a health and safety policy, a lone worker policy, or kind of compare our system to what they're currently using, then yeah, please come over. The coffees are on us.
That sounds good. And Warren, you mentioned that you guys are working with a few hospitals in London. Are there other hospitals, for example, in Greater London that you'd like to reach out to and invite to come see you guys?
Yeah, all of them basically. I mean, personally, I know a lot of the security managers in a lot of the London hospitals because I've been in the industry for a long time. But yeah, anybody that's any NHS trust or anybody in the security, in the health industry,
yes,
that is coming to the event, please come and see us. Even if it's just for a very brief chat to discuss, the risks that your staff face and how potentially we can alleviate those risks.
Yes, yeah, like you said, it's about the service that you're offering to these customers and the consultation with them. You're not just marketing some little boxes, are you? So, no, very interesting. Hey, we'll look at Warren and Chris. This has been incredibly interesting. I've learned a lot, and also I'm really proud to be associated with you guys because you're offering such an interesting and important service in healthcare. So obviously, on behalf of everybody at Giant and our whole national community of innovators in healthcare, we'd like to say thank you for the time, and thank you to Orbis Protect for sponsoring Giant and collaborating with Vodafone at the Connected Health Pavilion at the Giant Health event this year. So again, Warren and Chris, thank you very much. Great to speak with you guys, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you, Barry, for inviting us. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Barry, and looking forward to the event in a couple of weeks.
Excellent. So once again, this has been Chris and Warren from Orbis Protect. You can meet them at the Giant Health event, which is www.giant.health. This year, the event, which according to the Financial Times newspaper, is the largest, most valuable healthcare innovation event in the UK. This year, you can come and meet Chris and Warren at the Orbis exhibition stand on the 6th and 7th of December in London at the Business Design Centre. So we'd like to thank them. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Vodafone, and our knowledge partner, McKinsey. We look forward to seeing everybody at the Giant Health event. And we hope that if you like these videos, you'll like and subscribe, and look forward to seeing you in the next episode. So once again, my name is Barry Shrier from Giant Health. It's a pleasure to have our sponsor, Orbis, with us today. And thank you, everyone, for listening.